Mr. President, what's your response to Republicans who say your son got special treatment? Do we have a two-tier system of justice?
All right, guys, so we got to talk about a couple of bombshell news stories that I think have a connection to each other, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong about it, okay? It just so happens that this week, most of us have been talking about the Titan story, right? The submarine that went to visit the Titanic with 5 crew members. Some billionaires that paid $250,000 each to take a trip to Davy Jones' locker and ultimately get stuck. Yeah, that story, okay? Today, we found out that the U.S. Navy believed that the Titan imploded days ago, okay? So I want you guys to understand, we have been monitoring this story, okay, for the last 3 or 4 days. It's been the #1 story in the world, basically, about billionaires lost in the ocean because they went on a trip to the Titanic, and they made us believe that these people were actually alive. But most of us already knew the day that they reported that this submarine was missing, that these people had probably died. However, again, the mainstream liberal media kept us on a wild goose chase for this submarine that was lost 2 miles below the ocean, having us thinking that this 5-person crew could possibly be alive, okay? They even told us that there were knocking noises, okay, that they were using to search for the sub, as if, you know, these people were alive, knocking, banging on the sub, wanting somebody to come rescue them, right? Just for us to be told that this sub had imploded, which would result in instant death, okay? Now, apparently, the Navy knew about this days ago, right? In fact, they knew the day that it happened, hours after it happened, that these people were likely dead. However, again, nobody said anything about it, right? And they let the media basically distract America with a story about people who were ultimately dead, leading us to believe that they might be alive, while we have much more important things going on in Congress. And I want to talk about that because I think that's what's going on here, okay? The Biden administration knew that the Titan had imploded days ago, but yet said nothing about it, while we had some very important things that could have been taking up the news cycle besides this wild goose chase. So I want to talk about it because this is interesting timing, and this is kind of a bombshell story here. So let's read about it. A top secret military acoustic detection system designed to spot enemy submarines first heard what the U.S. Navy suspected was the Titan submersible implosion hours after the submersible began its voyage, officials involved in the search said. The Navy began listening for the Titan almost as soon as the sub lost communications, according to a U.S. defense official. Shortly after the submersible's disappearance Sunday, the U.S. system detected what it suspected was a sound of an implosion near the debris site discovered Thursday, and reported its findings to the Coast Guard commander on site, U.S. defense officials said. While the Navy couldn't say definitively the sound came from the Titan, the discovery played a role in narrowing the scope of the search for the vessel before its debris was discovered Thursday, officials said. Yeah, so this is a big deal. This is a huge deal. Because if the Navy had came out and said, look, we heard an implosion, okay, I think most people would have not gave this story as much attention as we're giving it. The reason why people gave this story attention is because we thought that there was a possibility that they could be alive, okay? We didn't know for sure that they were dead. But again, if the Navy came out on the day that this happened and said, hey, these people are likely dead, we heard the implosion, we're going to look for them, but at this point we're looking for debris. Again, most people would have ignored this story because we all know the final outcome, okay? Now, again, most of us, common sense, kind of already knew what the outcome was, but you don't really want to be mean about it, right? You don't want to declare people to be dead before you actually know that they're dead. But with that being said, it's important that this story took up the news cycle because there were much more important things, in my opinion, that were going on, especially considering the fact that they already knew the outcome of this story, that the American people should be paying attention to, like, for example, the corruption that is coming from the Biden administration involving the president and his son, in which Today, it just so happened today, the same day that they announced that this sub had imploded, right? The GOP comes out and basically shows whistleblower evidence detailing that the IRS went out of their way to try to cover up for Hunter Biden, along with the DOJ as well, too. Okay, I mean, they basically went out of their way to avoid giving Hunter Biden felony charges for evading taxes. Okay, something that would send people like, I don't know, Wesley Snipes to prison. They gave Hunter Biden a slap on the wrist with a couple of misdemeanor charges. And again, we have whistleblower evidence that basically, again, suggests that there was interference at multiple levels of the government into the Hunter Biden investigation regarding his taxes. And some other bombshell information as well, too, including alleged text messages that basically declare that Joe Biden was in the room with Hunter Biden while discussing his sketchy business dealings overseas. Take a look.
House committee released testimony today from two IRS whistleblowers who say the DOJ, the FBI, and their IRS superiors improperly interfered with their investigation of Hunter Biden, who agreed to a plea deal this week. Garrett Hake joins us. Garrett, what do the whistleblowers have to say?
Lester, these two senior IRS agents allege that the president's son received preferential treatment throughout the 5-year tax investigation that resulted in 2 misdemeanor guilty pleas this week. In testimony released by a Republican-led House committee, the agents accused the DOJ and the FBI of slow-walking portions of the investigation to Hunter Biden's benefit, and that efforts by the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney leading the probe to charge more serious crimes were blocked. A DOJ spokesman tonight denied any such interference. One whistleblower also provided what he says are WhatsApp messages from Hunter Biden to a Chinese business associate from 2017, in which the younger Biden says he's sitting with his father waiting on a response to a proposal, and that he and the then former vice president will make the business partner regret not responding. Now, NBC News has not yet confirmed the authenticity of that message. The White House tonight says President Biden has upheld his commitment to let this investigation proceed free of any political interference. Hunter Biden's attorneys have not responded to our request for comment.
Whistleblowers claim the Biden Department of Justice is intervening and overstepping when it comes to the investigation of the president's son. Despite what whistleblowers described as a clear-cut case for tax liability on these payments, IRS investigators say they found themselves hamstrung internally. The testimony we have just released details a lack of U.S. attorney independence, recurring unjustified delays, unusual actions outside the normal course of any investigation, a lack of transparency across the investigation and prosecution teams, and bullying and threats from the defense counsel. This was a campaign of delay, divulge, and deny. Whistleblowers say reoccurring unjustified delays pervaded the investigation, including an authenticating a WhatsApp message in which Hunter Biden demands payment from Chinese officials, noting that his father is in the room. The whistleblowers revealed IRS investigators were told by U.S. Attorney Leslie Wolf that because the evidence would be found in the guest house of former Vice President Biden, quote, there is no way, close quotes, a search warrant for evidence would ever get approved. IRS whistleblowers told this committee that crucial information about the investigation was divulged to Hunter Biden's attorneys. For example, even an investigators had probable cause to search a Northern Virginia storage unit in which Hunter Biden had stored files. Attorneys for Biden were made aware prior to any search, providing them valuable time to remove any materials that could be useful evidence. Few Americans qualify for such soft glove treatment from federal investigators. Testimony shows that U.S. Attorney of Delaware David Weiss tried to bring charges in the District of Columbia around March of 2022 and was denied. Weiss sought special counsel status from the DOJ in the spring of 2022 and was once again denied. Weiss sought to bring charges in the Central District of California in the fall of 2022 and had that request denied in January of 2023.
Yeah, so I want y'all to understand how big of a deal this is, right? If you guys listen to that testimony there, basically they try to bring charges against Hunter Biden during very pivotal moments of the U.S. election cycle, right? Right before the midterms. So in the spring of 2022, you had Roe v. Wade came out, right? Roe v. Wade came out, and in the fall of 2022, we had the midterms. Two very pivotal moments in the election cycle where basically they were not allowed to bring charges against Hunter Biden. And now all of a sudden, right before it gets into election season, not during election season, because again, I mean, we haven't even had a first debate yet, okay? We're not really in election season yet. Now they want to slap these little sweetheart charges on Hunter Biden. Again, it's amazing how that works. When we have straight up evidence, whistleblower evidence, that the Biden administration not only is selling out the American people, okay, in this case, the Chinese officials, right, that Hunter Biden is basically threatening, saying that, hey, his father's in the room and that you're going to regret not responding to us. Because, again, he's trying to sell influence. They're getting rich off the back of Joe Biden being in a government office. Not only on top of that, you have evidence, whistleblower evidence, of the DOJ and the IRS being weaponized by the regime in order to protect the president's son. Again, this should actually really be the biggest news story in the world, right? We have whistleblower evidence of the DOJ and the IRS being weaponized. You know the thing that they told us was a conspiracy theory from the GOP, right? Why is the GOP trying to defund the Department of Justice and the IRS? All these institutions are good. They do nothing wrong. They're not corrupt at all because Democrats are running it, right? This is what they say. When we have whistleblower evidence of them doing exactly what the GOP has been alleging for the longest time. They're going after political opponents and they're protecting their political allies. They're protecting Hunter Biden. Joe Biden is weaponizing the DOJ and the IRS to protect his son. And I also believe that this story about the sub was used to also protect his son or basically keep the media from covering this story too much, right? They didn't want the media to talk about it too much. So they made sure that, hey, let's let this sub story linger on here, right? We know that these people are dead, but let's let it linger on, right? Let's say that there were knocking noises in the ocean and, you know, they might be alive and yada, 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 right? Keep people distracted. While, again, we have the biggest story in the world that drops, which, again, is whistleblower evidence that confirms everything that the GOP has been alleging related to the Hunter Biden laptop story and Joe Biden for the longest time. But again, it's not going to get the coverage that it should. There should be wall-to-wall coverage of this. This is the only thing we should be talking about. This is whistleblower evidence of overt government corruption at the highest level. Straight from the president's office. And y'all believe that this man, Joe Biden, is not weaponizing the DOJ to go after Trump? You're damn straight that's exactly what he's doing. If he would do it to protect his son, he would do it to go after his political opponents. He definitely would. This man, Joe Biden, is unhinged. He really is. And it's just a shame that he's not being held accountable and that our media is not talking about this enough. Because, again, we're distracted by other stories, right? But, again, that's what that was. Ultimately, in my opinion, the Navy not coming out and basically telling us what they knew or what they thought they knew days before was done on purpose to distract us from bigger stories like this. And it worked. It worked. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.